Have you ever heard of the Black Pharaohs of ancient Egypt? If not, you're in for a fascinating journey through history that challenges the traditional narratives we've been taught. These were the rulers of the mighty Nubian kingdom of Kush, who not only conquered Egypt but also left an indelible mark on its culture and civilization. Join us as we unravel the mysteries surrounding these enigmatic figures and explore their true legacy, which has often been overshadowed or misrepresented by Eurocentric perspectives. For centuries, the story of the Kushite rulers has been shrouded in misconceptions and biases, perpetuated by a colonialist mindset that sought to diminish the achievements of African civilizations. However, as we delve deeper into the archaeological and historical records, a more nuanced and compelling narrative emerges, one that challenges our preconceived notions and forces us to confront the complexities of the ancient world. The Nubian Connection, the kingdoms of Kush, modern-day Sudan, and Kemet, ancient Egypt, shared a deep and intricate connection that predated the formation of the Egyptian state itself. Their relationship was not one of conqueror and conquered, but rather a symbiotic exchange between two branches of the same cultural and ethnic lineage, a lineage that traced its roots back to the earliest inhabitants of the Nile Valley. Contrary to popular belief, the people of Kush did not see themselves as inferior to the Kemites. They were proud of their own rich culture and fully aware of the deep-rooted entanglement between their two nations, which had existed since time immemorial. This sense of shared heritage and common ancestry was deeply ingrained in their collective consciousness, shaping their worldview and interactions with their northern neighbors. Archaeological evidence from sites like Kustul and Sayala, dating back to the 4th millennium BCE, suggests that the distinction between Nubians and Egyptians would not have made sense during the pre-dynastic period. The original inhabitants of Kemet were Nubians who brought their culture and traditions to the Nile Valley, laying the foundations for what we now recognize as ancient Egyptian civilization. The renowned Polish archaeologist Maria Carmela Gaddo, through her groundbreaking work on cultural entanglement at the dawn of Egyptian history, has demonstrated that the population in Nubia and Kemet was essentially the same during the earliest phases of their development. The cultural practices, burial customs, and material remains found in both regions bear striking similarities, challenging the long-held notion of a clear-cut division between the two peoples. This cultural entanglement was not a one-way process, with Nubia merely serving as a passive recipient of Egyptian influences. Rather, it was a dynamic exchange, with the flow of ideas, technologies, and artistic expressions occurring in both directions. The Nubian influence on the development of Kemetic culture was profound and pervasive, shaping everything from religious beliefs and architectural styles to artistic conventions and social structures. One of the most striking examples of this cultural exchange can be found in the realm of religious beliefs and practices. The cult of Amun, one of the most prominent deities in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, has its roots in the Nubian region. The very name Amun is believed to be derived from the Nubian word Amen, meaning the hidden one. Furthermore, many of the rituals and ceremonies associated with the worship of Amun bear striking resemblances to the traditions of the Nubian peoples, suggesting a deep-rooted cultural connection that predates the emergence of the Egyptian state. This shared spiritual heritage not only underscores the intimate ties between the two regions, but also challenges the notion of a unidirectional cultural influence, where Kemet is positioned as the sole progenitor of advanced civilization in the Nile Valley. The rise of the Kushite Dynasty. Around the mid-8th century BCE, the power dynamics in the ancient Near East underwent a significant shift. Kemet, once a unified and prosperous kingdom, found itself fragmented and embroiled in a period of instability known as the Third Intermediate Period. regional leaders and power brokers vied for control, creating a vacuum that the rulers of Kush, emboldened by their military prowess and driven by a desire to restore their ancestral roots, were poised to fill. It was during this time that King Kushite, a Kushite ruler, established a strong presence in Upper Egypt, stationing garrisons in the city of Thebes, and even appointing his daughter, Amenirtis, as the god's wife of Amun, a position of immense religious and political significance. This strategic move not only demonstrated Kush's growing influence, but also laid the groundwork for the eventual reunification of Kemet under Kushite rule. The Hungarian Egyptologist Laszlo Turok argues that Kush had already exerted a strong degree of control over Upper Egypt before the reign of the famed King Piye, known as Pianki in Egyptian records. Turok's research suggests that Kushite's reign marked the beginning of a gradual process of Kushite integration into the power structures of Kemet, facilitated by the cultural and ethnic ties that bound the two regions together. This process was not a one-sided affair, but rather a complex negotiation between the indigenous rulers of Upper Egypt and their Nubian counterparts. The priesthood of Amun, based in Thebes, likely played a pivotal role in facilitating this alliance, recognizing the Kushites as legitimate heirs to the pharaonic tradition and seeking their assistance in restoring stability and unity to the fractured kingdom. The decision to accept Kushite rule was not solely based on military might or political expediency, but also rooted in the shared cultural and religious beliefs that had long connected the two regions. The Kushites were not perceived as foreign invaders or usurpers, but rather as fellow custodians of the ancient traditions and beliefs that had shaped the Nile Valley civilization for millennia. Moreover, the cultural and ethnic ties between the two regions extended beyond the realm of religion and spirituality. Archaeological evidence suggests that intermarriage and the exchange of artistic and technological knowledge were common occurrences, further blurring the boundaries between the two peoples. For instance, the Nubian practice of building pyramids as royal burial chambers was adopted and adapted by the Kemites, leading to the construction of some of the most iconic structures in ancient Egyptian architecture. Similarly, the advanced metalworking techniques developed in Nubia played a crucial role in the development of Kemetic craftsmanship and artistry. This cross-pollination of ideas and practices underscores the fluidity and interconnectedness of the ancient Nile Valley civilizations, challenging the notion of a strict divide between Nubian and Egyptian cultures. The reunification of Kemet. The narrative of the Kushite rulers invading Kemet is often exaggerated and oversimplified, perpetuating a colonialist perspective that portrays the Nubians as mere usurpers or conquerors. However, historical accounts paint a more nuanced picture, suggesting that their ascension to power was not a hostile takeover, but rather a strategic alliance forged with the indigenous rulers of Upper Egypt, who recognized the Kushites' legitimacy and accepted their authority. In 747 BCE, King Pianki consolidated his control over both Upper and Lower Egypt, reuniting the two lands under a single ruler for the first time in centuries. This achievement earned him the title of King of Kings and marked the beginning of the 25th dynasty, also known as the Kushite or Nubian dynasty. Pi's victory stele, found at Gebel Barkal, the sacred mountain of Kush, provides a detailed account of his military campaign against the rulers of the Delta region, who initially resisted his authority. However, once Pi's forces reached Memphis, many of the local princes and nobles rallied to his cause, recognizing him as the legitimate ruler of a unified Kemet. This acceptance of Kushite rule by the native elite of Lower Egypt is a significant indicator that the Nubians were not perceived as foreign invaders, but rather as fellow members of the Nile Valley civilization, with a legitimate claim to the pharaonic tradition. It also suggests that the reunification of Kemet under Kushite rule was not solely achieved through military force, but also through diplomacy, negotiation, and the recognition of shared cultural and historical ties. Moreover, the reunification of Kemet under the Kushite Dynasty marked a significant milestone in the history of the ancient world. For the first time since the Old Kingdom, the entire Nile Valley, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Sixth Cataract of the Nile, was united under a single ruler. This achievement not only demonstrated the military and administrative prowess of the Kushite pharaohs, but also highlighted their commitment to restoring the grandeur and unity of the ancient Egyptian civilization. The Kushite rulers understood the symbolic and cultural significance of reuniting the two lands, and they leveraged this achievement to solidify their legitimacy and assert their rightful place in the pharaonic tradition. By presenting themselves as the restorers of Ma'at, the ancient Egyptian concept of cosmic order and balance, the Kushite pharaohs sought to align themselves with the legacies of the great rulers of the past, such as Narmer, the unifier of Upper and Lower Egypt, and Mentuhotep II, who ended the First Intermediate Period and ushered in the Middle Kingdom. This strategic positioning was not merely a matter of political expediency. It was deeply rooted in the Kushites' cultural heritage and their understanding of the intricate connections between Kush and Kemet. As descendants of the ancient Nubian civilization, which had played a pivotal role in the formation and development of Egyptian culture, the Kushite rulers saw themselves as the rightful inheritors of the pharaonic legacy. Furthermore, the reunification of Kemet under Kushite rule was not merely a symbolic act. It had profound practical implications for the administration and governance of the kingdom. By consolidating their control over both Upper and Lower Egypt, the Kushite pharaohs were able to streamline the bureaucratic apparatus, establish a more centralized system of taxation and resource distribution, and facilitate the free flow of trade and commerce throughout the Nile Valley. This administrative efficiency, combined with the Kushites' military prowess and diplomatic acumen, allowed them to project power and influence far beyond the borders of Kemet, solidifying the kingdom's position as a major player in the ancient Near East. The Kushite pharaohs forged alliances and trade agreements with neighboring regions, fostering cultural exchange and facilitating the flow of ideas, technologies, and resources across the ancient world. The Black Pharaohs' legacy. Far from being mere invaders or conquerors, the Kushite rulers were deeply invested in preserving and revitalizing ancient Egyptian traditions. They saw themselves not as usurpers but as rightful heirs to the legacy of the great pharaohs who had come before them, and they acted accordingly. During their reign, which lasted for nearly a century, the Kushite pharaohs embarked on an ambitious program of restoration and construction, rebuilding and expanding many of the sacred sites and monuments that had fallen into disrepair during the turbulent years preceding their ascension. One of the most celebrated Kushite pharaohs, Taharqa, left an indelible mark on Kemet's history through his impressive building projects and military campaigns. His reign witnessed the construction of the Kiosk of Taharqa in Karnak, a masterpiece of ancient architecture that showcased the skill and artistry of Nubian craftsmen and architects. This magnificent structure, adorned with intricate reliefs and inscriptions, served as a testament to Taharqa's dedication to preserving and enhancing the cultural heritage of Kemet. Beyond the realm of monumental architecture, the Kushite rulers also played a pivotal role in promoting the arts, literature, and religious traditions of ancient Egypt. They commissioned the production of exquisite works of art, sponsored the transcription and preservation of sacred texts, and ensured the continuation of age-old rituals and ceremonies. One notable example of their patronage is the creation of the Theban religious compositions, a collection of texts that sought to codify and preserve the religious traditions of Thebes. These texts, written during the reigns of Taharqa and his successors, not only demonstrated the Kushites' reverence for the ancient Egyptian faith, but also their desire to contribute to its intellectual and spiritual development. Moreover, the Kushite pharaohs were not mere passive custodians of Egyptian culture. They actively contributed to its evolution and enrichment. Their unique perspective, shaped by their Nubian heritage, infused new ideas and interpretations into the existing traditions, creating a dynamic synergy between the two cultures. For instance, the architectural styles and artistic motifs of the Kushite period exhibit a distinctive blend of Egyptian and Nubian influences, reflecting the cross-pollination of ideas and aesthetics that occurred during this era. The pyramids of Meroe, located in modern-day Sudan, are a testament to this fusion, incorporating elements from both cultural traditions while still maintaining a distinct Nubian character. Beyond the realm of art and architecture, the Kushite rulers also left an indelible mark on the political and administrative structures of Kemet. Their reign witnessed the centralization of power and the establishment of a more efficient bureaucracy, which helped to maintain stability and ensure the smooth functioning of the kingdom. Furthermore, the Kushite pharaohs played a crucial role in maintaining Egypt's place as a major power in the ancient Near East. Their military campaigns and diplomatic endeavors helped to secure the kingdom's borders and establish beneficial trade relationships with neighboring regions, ensuring the continued flow of resources and cultural exchange. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Kushite legacy is the longevity of their influence. Even after the end of their direct rule over Kemet, the cultural and artistic traditions they fostered continued to flourish and evolve, shaping the development of later Egyptian dynasties and leaving an indelible mark on the region's artistic and intellectual heritage. For instance, the distinctive architectural style that emerged during the Kushite period, with its unique blend of Egyptian and Nubian elements, continued to influence the design and construction of temples and monuments well into the Ptolemaic and Roman periods. Similarly, the religious beliefs and practices codified and preserved by the Kushite pharaohs continued to shape the spiritual and philosophical traditions of later Egyptian societies. This enduring legacy is a testament not only to the cultural and artistic achievements of the Kushite rulers, but also to the depth and resilience of the ancient Nile Valley civilizations. It serves as a powerful reminder that the cradle of human civilization was not a static or isolated phenomenon, but rather a dynamic and interconnected tapestry, woven from the threads of diverse cultures and peoples. Breaking down misconceptions. Despite their immense contributions and historical significance, the Kushite rulers have often been overshadowed or misrepresented in popular narratives and academic discourse. This can largely be attributed to the pervasive influence of Eurocentric perspectives, which have traditionally marginalized or diminished the achievements of African civilizations. One of the most persistent misconceptions surrounding the Kushite pharaohs is the very term Black Pharaohs itself. While intended to acknowledge their African origins, this term inadvertently perpetuates the false notion that the rulers of ancient Kemet were not of African descent themselves. The reality is that the very concept of the pharaoh was deeply rooted in the Nubian culture, and the early dynastic rulers of Kemet were themselves of Nubian origin. The ancient Egyptians, far from being a homogeneous group, encompassed a diverse range of phenotypes and ethnic backgrounds, reflecting the rich tapestry of the Nile Valley. This diversity is evident in the artistic representations and written descriptions of the pharaohs themselves, which depict a range of skin tones and physical features that defy the narrow stereotypes perpetuated by Eurocentric narratives. From the iconic statues of Ramses II to the intricate relief carvings adorning the walls of temples and tombs, The depictions of ancient Egyptian rulers and nobility showcase a remarkable variety of physical characteristics, challenging the notion of a monolithic racial or ethnic identity. Furthermore, the idea of the Kushites being a slave race or invaders is entirely unfounded and rooted in racist ideologies that sought to diminish the achievements of African peoples. The conflicts between Kush and Kemet were driven by political ambitions, a desire for control, and the age-old power struggles that have characterized human societies throughout history, not by racial or ethnic superiority. The very notion of a clear-cut divide between Nubians and Egyptians is itself a product of modern-day assumptions and categorizations. As we have seen, the cultural and ethnic entanglement between the two regions was so profound that such distinctions would have held little meaning for the people of that era. Moreover, the portrayal of the Kushite rulers as mere conquerors or invaders fails to capture the nuances of their relationship with Kemet and the complex political dynamics that facilitated their ascension to power. As we have discussed, their rise was not solely a result of military conquest, but also a strategic alliance forged with the indigenous rulers of Upper Egypt, who recognized their legitimacy and welcomed their assistance in restoring unity and stability to the fractured kingdom. This narrative of a violent takeover by foreign invaders not only perpetuates harmful stereotypes, but also grossly oversimplifies the intricate web of cultural, political, and historical factors that shape the relationships between the various peoples of the ancient Nile Valley. Another persistent misconception surrounding the Kushite rulers is the assumption that their reign marked a brief and isolated episode in the history of ancient Egypt, a momentary blip on the radar before the true Egyptian dynasties reasserted their dominance. This view not only diminishes the Kushites' lasting impact on the region's cultural and artistic traditions, but also betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of the interconnected nature of the ancient Nile Valley civilizations. In reality, the Kushite dynasty was part of a continuous, ever-evolving tapestry of cultural exchange and cross-pollination that had been unfolding in the region for millennia. Their contributions did not emerge in a vacuum, but were built upon the foundations laid by countless generations of Nubian and Egyptian peoples who had been shaping and reshaping the artistic, religious, and intellectual traditions of the region for centuries. Moreover, the influence of the Kushite rulers extended far beyond their direct political control over Kemet. Their cultural and artistic legacy continued to shape and inform the development of later Egyptian dynasties, serving as a wellspring of inspiration for artists, architects, and religious scholars for generations to come. By perpetuating these misconceptions and oversimplifications, we not only do a disservice to the rich and complex history of the ancient Nile Valley civilizations, but also reinforce harmful biases and stereotypes that continue to marginalize and diminish the achievements of African peoples in the modern era. It is therefore imperative that we confront these deeply ingrained biases and seek to understand the true depth and nuance of the Kushite legacy, not through the lens of Eurocentric assumptions, but through a critical examination of the archaeological and historical evidence. The story of the Nubian kings, or the Black Pharaohs of ancient Egypt, is a testament to the rich cultural tapestry of the Nile Valley civilization. Their legacy challenges our preconceived notions and reminds us that history is often more complex and nuanced than we are led to believe. As we explore the intricate connections between Kush and Kemet, we uncover a narrative of resilience, cultural exchange, and the enduring spirit of a people who were not merely subjected to the whims of history, but actively shaped it. So the next time you hear the term Black Pharaohs, remember that it represents a chapter in human history that deserves to be celebrated, understood, and appreciated in all its richness and complexity. Share, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking historical insights and narratives that challenge conventional wisdom.